Captain Dae-hyun walked through the gray corridors of Earth Defense Command headquarters. His boots made soft sounds on the polished floor. He knew why Admiral Kim had called him here. After 20 years in the service, he could read between the lines of a formal summons. The Admiral's office had a large window overlooking the shipyards in orbit. Massive vessels hung in space like metal cities. Workers in small craft buzzed around them like insects. Dae-hyun had commanded 3 different ships during his career. All of them had been good assignments. This meeting would not bring him a 4th. "Captain," Admiral Kim said, not looking up from his desk. "Please sit." Dae-hyun sat. He waited. The Admiral finally looked at him with tired eyes. "I'm giving you the Tempest," the Admiral said. Dae-hyun said nothing. Everyone in the fleet knew about the Tempest. It was the prototype that had cost billions and delivered nothing. The weapons took too long to charge. The reactor ran too hot. The shields flickered at random. After 3 years of testing, the Defense Ministry had declared it a failure. Now it sat in a quiet corner of space doing patrol duty that any basic ship could handle. "It's a desk job in space," Admiral Kim continued. "You'll run patrols in the outer system. Nothing happens out there. Consider it a peaceful last few years before retirement." Dae-hyun understood. His career had peaked. This was where the military put officers they didn't want to promote but couldn't fire. A quiet corner where he would cause no trouble and make no waves. "I understand, sir," he said. "Your crew is already aboard," the Admiral added. "Good people. They just need someone to lead them." Translation: they were also people the military had quietly shelved. Dae-hyun nodded and left. The shuttle ride to the Tempest took an hour. The ship hung away from the main fleet, isolated. It was smaller than a battleship but larger than a destroyer. The hull looked sleek enough with clean lines and modern plating. From the outside, it seemed fine. Inside was different. The corridors hummed with a sound that seemed wrong. The lights flickered slightly every few minutes. Dae-hyun made his way to the bridge. 5 people waited for him there. They stood at attention, but their postures told stories. The woman in the commander's uniform had sharp eyes and a rigid stance. The young man at the helm station looked relaxed, almost cocky. An older woman in engineering coveralls had grease on her hands. A thin woman in a science officer's uniform held a datapad. A grizzled man with sergeant stripes stood with arms crossed. "Captain on deck," the commander said. "At ease," Dae-hyun replied. "Let's skip the formalities." "I'm Dae-hyun." "You are?" "Commander Ji-won, executive officer and tactical," the sharp-eyed woman said. "I wrote 3 papers on aggressive fleet tactics. Command rejected all of them. Lieutenant Tae-yang, helm," the young man said with a grin. "I got us here and I can get us anywhere fast." "Chief Engineer Hana," the older woman said. "This ship is my baby. She's temperamental, but I keep her running." "Dr. Bora, science officer," the thin woman said quietly. "Xenolinguist and first contact specialist. Not that we'll ever meet aliens." "Master Sergeant Kunwu, security," the grizzled man said. 30 years keeping people alive. "Still good at it," Dae-hyun nodded slowly. "A tactician too aggressive for command's taste. A pilot with attitude. An engineer stuck with a failed project. A scientist trained for something that would never happen. A soldier too old for frontline combat. They were all here because nobody else wanted them." "Show me the ship," he said. Hana led him through engineering. The reactor core pulsed with blue light. It was beautiful and slightly terrifying. "She runs hot," Hana explained. 20% above normal operating temperature. Command said that was inefficient and dangerous. "But look at the output. She generates 3 times the power of a standard reactor this size." "What about the weapons?" Dae-hyun asked. "They take 90 seconds to charge," Hana said. "Most military weapons fire every 10 seconds. So Command called them failures. But when these guns fire, they hit like nothing else in the fleet. One shot can crack a capital ship's shields." Dae-hyun touched the reactor housing. It was warm under his hand. "And the shields?" "Unpredictable," Hana admitted. "Most of the time they run at normal strength. But sometimes, for no reason we can find, they spike to incredible levels. Command wanted consistency. They got power instead." They walked back to the bridge. Dae-hyun sat in the captain's chair. It felt comfortable. "Let's start patrols," he said. "Tae-yang, take us to the outer system." "Standard route, yes, sir," the pilot replied. His hands moved over the controls. The ship moved smoothly, almost gracefully. The days fell into a rhythm. Morning briefings, system patrols, evening reports. The crew ate together in the small mess hall. They were professional but distant at first. Slowly, they began to talk more, to joke, to trust. Kunwu told stories about old battles. Taeyang showed off with unnecessary spins and rolls that made everyone groan. Hana treated the ship like a child, talking to it while she worked. Bora analyzed everything, always curious. G1 planned tactics that would never be used. 3 weeks into their assignment, Bora called Daehyun to the science station. "Captain, I'm detecting something strange," she said. Her voice was calm, but her hands moved quickly over the controls. "Define strange," Daehyun said, moving to stand beside her. "Gravitational distortions at the edge of the system. Multiple sources. Very large." G1 appeared at his other side. "Could be a stellar phenomenon." "No," Bora said quietly. "The pattern is too regular. These are artificial." Daehyun felt something cold settle in his stomach. "How many?" Bora worked her controls. Numbers appeared on the screen. She looked at them, then checked again. "Over 300, she whispered. The bridge went silent. 300 ships. That was more than Earth's entire defense fleet, and they were appearing at the edge of humanity's home system. "Sound yellow alert," Daehyun said. His voice came out steady despite his racing heart. "All hands to stations. Bora, verify those readings." "G1, get me Earth Defense Command, now!" The crew moved with sudden purpose. The easy atmosphere vanished. Kunwu appeared on the bridge, checking his sidearm. Taeyang's hands were already on the helm controls. Hana's voice came over the intercom from engineering, reporting all systems ready. Daehyun watched the sensor display. Ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of them. They formed up in precise patterns. Professional, military. "Contact established with Earth Defense," G1 reported. "Admiral Kim is on the line." "Admiral," Daehyun said. "We have a situation." He sent the sensor data. There was a long pause. "Confirmed," Admiral Kim said. His voice sounded older than before. "We see them. Stay on station, Tempest. Monitor and report. Do not engage." "Understood, sir." The connection ended. Daehyun looked at his crew. They looked back at him with questions in their eyes. Questions he couldn't answer. "Captain," Bora said, "I'm receiving a transmission. It's on all frequencies. Broadcasting in multiple languages." "Put it through," Daehyun ordered. A voice filled the bridge. It was mechanical, translated by computers, but the tone was unmistakable. Arrogant, dismissive, superior. "Primitive creatures of Earth. I am Supreme Admiral Vex Thor of the Valix Empire. Your system now belongs to us. You have 24 standard hours to surrender your planet and all vessels. Resistance is pointless. Your technology is inferior. Your numbers are insignificant. Submit and your species may serve. Resist and you will be eliminated." The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge again. But this was a different silence. This was the silence before a storm. Daehyun looked at the sensor display. At the 300 alien warships hanging at the edge of humanity's home. At his small failed prototype with its crew of misfits. At the impossible situation they now faced. "Stations, everyone," he said quietly. "I have a feeling our peaceful patrol duty just ended." The alien fleet hung at the edge of the solar system like a storm cloud. 300 warships, each one massive and deadly. The Tempest drifted in silent running mode, watching from a distance. On the bridge, the crew studied their enemy. G1 stood at the tactical station. Her fingers moved over the controls, analyzing every ship. Their shield frequencies. Their weapon patterns. Their formation structure. She had trained for this moment her entire career, even though everyone said it would never come. "They're organized," she said. "Extremely organized. Every ship knows its place. The formation is textbook perfect. Is that good or bad?" Daehyun asked. "Both," G1 replied. "It means they're professional. But it also means they're rigid. They follow doctrine." Bora looked up from her station. "Captain, I've been analyzing their broadcasts. The language patterns are interesting. They speak in absolute terms. No flexibility in their statements. No consideration for alternatives. They're arrogant," Kunwu said from his position near the door. "They think they've already won." "They might be right," Taeyang muttered. 300 ships against 50. "The math isn't good." Daehyun's console beeped. Admiral Kim's face appeared on the screen. The Admiral looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Captain, the Defense Council has made a decision. We're not surrendering. The fleet is mobilizing now. We'll meet them at Mars orbit in 18 hours. Sir, that's not enough time to prepare, Daehyun said. It's all the time we have. The aliens are moving. They're heading straight for Earth, and Mars is the only place we can intercept. The Admiral paused. Tempest, I'm giving you a choice. Fall back to Earth with the civilian evacuation fleet, or stay out there and harass the enemy. Buy us time to get ready. Daehyun looked at his crew. Ji-won nodded. Taeyang cracked his knuckles. Hana's voice came through the intercom. I didn't fix this ship for nothing. Kunwoo just smiled grimly. Bora adjusted her glasses and looked determined. We'll stay, Admiral. We'll give you every second we can. Admiral Kim nodded slowly. Good luck, Tempest. Make them remember you. The transmission ended. Daehyun stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. Listen up, he said. We're one ship against 300. We can't win a straight fight. So we don't fight straight. Ji-won, I want your most aggressive tactics. Taeyang, I want flying that would get you court-martialed in peacetime. Hana, push every system to its limit. Kunwoo, prepare boarding teams. Bora, find me their weaknesses. We're going to hurt them. We're going to make them angry. And we're going to buy Earth the time it needs. How do we start? Ji-won asked. We find a target. Something small. Something they won't miss immediately. Daehyun pointed at the sensor display. What about those scout ships on the edge of their formation? Ji-won studied the display. 3 scouts spread out. If we hit fast and go dark immediately, we might get away clean. Might? Taeyang asked. Probably. Ji-won corrected with a slight smile. I'll take those odds, Daehyun said. Taeyang, take us in. Silent approach. Use the asteroid field for cover. The Tempest moved like a ghost. All unnecessary systems shut down. The heat from the reactor vented carefully into space. They drifted more than flew, using gravity and momentum instead of engines. Taeyang guided them between spinning rocks and ice chunks. Target in range, Ji-won reported quietly. Enemy scout isolated from the main fleet. No sign they've detected us. Charge the main guns, Daehyun ordered. The ship hummed as power flowed into the weapons. 90 seconds felt like 90 hours. The alien scout continued its patrol unaware. Weapons charged, Ji-won said. Fire. The Tempest's main cannon unleashed a lance of blue energy. It crossed the distance in a heartbeat. The alien scout's shields flared bright, then shattered. The beam punched through the hull. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash. Target destroyed, Ji-won confirmed, surprise in her voice. One shot. All power to silent running, Daehyun ordered. Taeyang drift. Let us look like debris. The Tempest went dark. Every system shut down except life support and passive sensors. They tumbled slowly, just another piece of wreckage in space. Minutes passed. Then an alien patrol group arrived, scanning the area. They found the destroyed scout, but not the Tempest. After an hour, the aliens left. Daehyun let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. We did it, Taeyang whispered. Once, Ji-won corrected. We did it once. Can we do it again? Let's find out, Daehyun said. Find me another target. Over the next 6 hours, they struck 3 more times. Each attack was different. They used asteroids for cover. They masked their heat signature behind a passing comet. They hid in the shadow of a gas giant's moon. Each time, they destroyed an enemy ship and vanished before reinforcements arrived. In the command center of the Valix flagship, Supreme Admiral Vexthor studied the reports. 4 scouts lost. No sign of the attacker. His tactical officer stood nervously nearby. Explain, Vexthor demanded. We believe it's a single human vessel, Admiral. It strikes and then disappears. We cannot track it. One ship, Vexthor said slowly. These primitives dare attack the Grand Armada with one ship? Yes, Admiral. Vexthor waved a hand dismissively. 4 scouts are nothing. Continue the advance. Send a hunter squadron to deal with this pest. Fleet Commander Zinra stepped forward. She was smaller than Vexthor, but her eyes were sharp. Admiral, perhaps we should analyze this more carefully. The humans destroyed 4 ships without taking damage. Their weapons are more powerful than our intelligence suggested. Luck, Vexthor said. These creatures stumbled upon our scouts, nothing more. We have conquered 47 species, Zinra. These humans will be the 48th. Do not waste my time with caution. Zinra bowed her head but said nothing more. She returned to her station and pulled up the combat data. The pattern of attacks showed planning, creativity. The weapons showed devastating power. The humans were using tactics the Valix had never encountered. She made notes in her personal log. Someone should be paying attention even if the Admiral refused to. On the Tempest, alarms suddenly blared. Bora looked up from her station, eyes wide. Captain, 5 ships breaking from the main fleet. They're heading straight for our last known position. Fast attack vessels. A hunter squadron, Jiwon said. They're coming for us. Daehyun studied the tactical display. 5 ships against 1. The aliens would have better sensors, faster engines, more firepower. This wasn't an ambush anymore. This was a chase. Can we outrun them? He asked. Maybe, Taeyang said. But they'll track us the whole way. We can't hide and run at the same time. Then we don't run, Daehyun decided. The crew looked at him. We've been hunting them. Now they think they're hunting us. Let's show them they're wrong. You want to fight 5 ships? Jiwon asked carefully. I want to surprise 5 ships, Daehyun corrected. They expect us to run. What if we charge instead? Jiwon's eyes lit up. She started calculating. It's insane. They'll be expecting an ambush or a retreat. A frontal assault is completely irrational. Exactly, Daehyun said. Taeyang, can you thread us through their formation? The pilot grinned. Oh, I can do better than that. Give me full power and I'll make them dizzy. Hana, Daehyun called down to engineering. I need everything the reactor can give. You'll get it, Hana replied. But Captain, we're going to take damage. The ship will hold, but it won't be pretty. Pretty doesn't win fights. Give me power. The Tempest came alive. The reactor surged to maximum output. The engines flared bright. Instead of hiding, they burned across space like a comet. The Hunter Squadron detected them immediately. 5 alien ships adjusted course, forming a net to capture the Tempest. They expected the human ship to try breaking through at the weakest point. Instead, the Tempest aimed straight for the center of their formation. They're not turning away, the alien squadron leader reported in confusion. They're accelerating toward us. It's a trick, another captain said. They'll veer off at the last moment. But the Tempest didn't veer. It came straight on, weapons charging, brace for impact, Daehyun ordered. Jiwon, fire as we pass. Taeyang, emergency maneuvers on my mark. The gap closed. The alien ships fired. Energy beams scored the Tempest's hull. Shields flared and flickered. Then impossibly, they spiked to maximum strength. The incoming fire scattered harmlessly. Shields at 200%, Hana yelled. I don't know why, but I'll take it. Fire! Daehyun commanded. The Tempest's guns blazed. At point-blank range, there was no missing. 2 alien ships exploded. A third took critical damage and began tumbling out of control. Now Taeyang. The pilot's hands flew over the controls. The Tempest spun, rolled, and dove. The remaining 2 alien ships tried to follow but couldn't match the wild maneuver. They fired blindly, hitting nothing. One more, Jiwon said calmly, targeting. Firing. Another alien ship died. The last hunter broke off and fled, reporting the impossible. 1 human ship had destroyed 4 vessels and damaged a 5th in less than 3 minutes. Aboard the Tempest, damage alarms wailed. But they were alive. They had won. Status report, Daehyun ordered. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5, Hana reported. Shields are back to normal, which means barely working. We need repairs. How long? 6 hours. Maybe 4 if we skip sleep. Daehyun nodded. Get started. We bought Earth some time, but they still need more. He opened a channel to Earth Defense Command and delivered. Mars orbit glowed with weapons fire. 50 human ships faced 300 alien vessels in a battle that would decide Earth's fate. The Tempest arrived at full burn, diving straight into the chaos. Captain, Earth Defense Fleet is taking heavy casualties, Bo-Ra reported. Her voice was tight with stress. We've lost 12 ships already. Daehyun watched the tactical display. The human ships fought bravely, but the math was brutal. 300 against 50. Now 300 against 38. They couldn't win by trading ships. They needed something else. Jiwon, pattern analysis. Show me their fleet movements. The tactical officer brought up a display. It showed the alien fleet's positions over the last hour. Daehyun studied it carefully. The aliens moved in perfect formation. When one ship turned, others adjusted instantly. When shields were hit, nearby vessels seemed to help absorb the damage. They're connected somehow, he muttered. Bora, can you see any data transmissions between their ships? Bora worked her console. Yes, Captain. Constant stream of data. They're sharing sensor information, tactical data, and... Wait. They're synchronizing their shields. Jiwon leaned forward. Say that again. Their shields operate on linked frequencies. When one ship is hit, the others adjust their shields to match. It distributes the damage across multiple vessels. That's why they're so hard to destroy. And if we disrupt that synchronization? Dae-hyun asked. Bora's fingers flew over her controls. Theoretically, creating the right resonance frequency could cascade through their network. It would weaken every connected ship at once. Ji-won smiled grimly. We need to hit them all at exactly the same moment. Perfect timing across multiple ships. Can we do it? Dae-hyun asked. Maybe. But first we need to get close to their command ship. That's where the synchronization originates. And it's at the center of their formation, protected by 50 capital ships. Dae-hyun looked at the display again. The alien flagship was massive, bristling with weapons. Getting close to it would require getting through an army. Or being invited in. What if they came to us? He said slowly. How do we make them do that? Tae-yang asked. We make them angry. Specifically, we make their admiral angry. He already hates us for destroying his scouts and hunters. Let's give him a reason to want us dead personally. Kunwoo stepped onto the bridge. You want to use us as bait. More than bait, Dae-hyun said. We're going to board them. The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at him. Board them, Ji-won repeated carefully. You want to put Marines on an alien capital ship in the middle of a battle? Yes. Kunwoo, can your team take out a shield generator? The old sergeant considered. If we can get aboard, yes. My people train for ship seizure. But aliens might be different. Different how? Dae-hyun asked. We don't know how they fight up close. Their weapons, their tactics, their physical abilities could be worse than us. Could be better. Or, Bora said quietly, they might not fight up close at all. Advanced species often eliminate violence from their culture. They might rely entirely on technology for combat. Kunwoo's grin was savage. Then they're in for a nasty surprise. Dae-hyun nodded. Here's the plan. We attack their command elements. Hit them hard. Make it personal. When the flagship comes for us, we let them grapple us, then Kunwoo's team boards. They take down the shields. We coordinate with the fleet for synchronized fire. The resonance cascade does the rest. It's insane, Tae-yang said. It's our best chance, Ji-won countered. Maybe our only chance. Then let's do it, Dae-hyun said. Kunwoo, get your teams ready. Everyone else, prepare for combat. This is going to get rough. The Tempest burned toward the alien formation. They targeted command vessels, ships with extra communications arrays. Each shot destroyed a ship. Each loss disrupted the alien coordination just a little more, and each kill made Supreme Admiral Vexthor angrier. That ship, Vexthor roared on his flagship. That same cursed vessel. It destroyed my scouts. It killed my hunters. Now it dares attack my command staff. Sinra tried to interject. Admiral, this could be a trap. They want us to respond personally, I don't care. Helm, intercept course. I want that ship disabled and its crew brought before me. They will learn what happens to primitives who defy the Valix Empire. Admiral, please reconsider, Sinra urged. Something is wrong. They're too aggressive. No species fights like this when they're losing. Because they're desperate and stupid, Vexthor snapped. Execute my orders. The massive flagship broke formation and accelerated toward the Tempest. Zinra watched it happen with growing dread. She had studied the combat reports. These humans were neither desperate nor stupid. They were clever. And clever enemies were the most dangerous. They're coming, Bora announced on the Tempest Bridge. The flagship and 6 escorts. Good, Dae-hyun said. Tae-yang, make it look like we're trying to run but can't quite escape. Lead them away from the main battle. Fake engine damage. Got it? The Tempest limped away from the battle. The flagship pursued. The escorts fanned out, cutting off escape routes. Exactly as planned. Kunwoo status? Dae-hyun asked. 30 Marines in boarding pods armed and ready. We've studied the hull scans, found where their shield generator should be. We'll have about 10 minutes before they realize what's happening. Make it count. The alien flagship fired grappling beams. They latched onto the Tempest's hull, pulling the ship close. Energy-dampening fields locked the human vessel in place. They've caught us, Tae-yang reported. Perfect, Dae-hyun said. Launch boarding pods, now. Small pods shot from the Tempest's hull. They were designed for ship-to-ship combat, heavily armored and fast. They slammed into the alien flagship's hull and burned through. Kunwoo was first through the breach. His boots hit alien deck plating. The corridor was smooth, clean, lit with soft blue light. Nothing like a human warship. And standing in that corridor were 3 alien soldiers staring in shock. The aliens wore light armor and carried elegant energy weapons. They looked at the humans with their heavy combat gear and projectile rifles. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Kunwu's team opened fire. The harsh crack of gunfire echoed through corridors that had never heard such sounds. The aliens fell before they could raise their weapons. The humans advanced. More aliens appeared. They tried to fight, but their weapons were designed for precision, not close combat. The humans charged through them like a storm. Kunwu moved with practiced efficiency, his team flowing around corners and through hatches. They had done this 1,000 times in training. The aliens had never done it at all. Shield generator ahead, one Marine reported. The room was massive, filled with humming machinery. Alien technicians fled at the sight of armed humans. Kunwu's team planted explosive charges on key systems. Charges set, Kunwu reported over his comm. 30 seconds to detonation. Copy that, Daehyun replied from the Tempest. All human ships prepare for synchronized fire. Target the flagship. Fire on my mark, the charges exploded. The alien flagship shuddered. Lights flickered. The shields collapsed. Shields down, Bora confirmed. Resonance frequency active. All ships fire, Daehyun commanded. 20 human warships fired as one. Every beam, every missile, every round of ammunition struck the alien flagship within 2 seconds of each other. The combined impact was devastating. The flagship's hull cracked. Explosions bloomed across its surface, but that was only the beginning. The resonance frequency spread through the alien fleet's shield network like a virus. Ships throughout their formation suddenly found their shields fluctuating. Some failed completely. Others weakened to a fraction of normal strength. The human fleet didn't waste the opportunity. They concentrated fire on wounded vessels. Ships that had seemed invulnerable minutes ago now died under sustained assault. On the dying flagship, Vexthor stared at his displays in disbelief. How is this possible? They're primitives. Zinra worked frantically at her console. Admiral, we must evacuate. The ship is lost. No, I will not flee from savages. Another explosion rocked the ship. Systems failed across the board. Zinra made a decision. She signaled her security team. They grabbed the Admiral and dragged him toward the escape pods despite his protests. Get the Marines back, Daehyun ordered. That ship is breaking apart. Kunwu led his team back through the corridors. Aliens fled past them, no longer caring about the human invaders. Everyone just wanted to survive. The Marines reached their boarding pods and launched back to the Tempest. All teams aboard, Kunwu reported. No casualties. Taeyang, get us clear, Daehyun ordered. The Tempest pulled away from the dying flagship. Behind them, the massive vessel broke in half. Explosions consumed both sections. The pride of the Valix Empire died in silence and fire. Across the battlefield, the alien fleet wavered. Their shields remained weak. Their coordination had shattered with the loss of the flagship. Human ships pressed their advantage, destroying vessel after vessel. Captain Bora said, "The alien fleet is breaking formation. Some ships are retreating. Others are trying to reorganize. They're in chaos." Daehyun watched the tactical display. The alien formation that had seemed so perfect, so invincible, was falling apart. Human ships advanced. The tide of battle had turned. All ships press the attack, he broadcast on the fleet channel. Don't give them time to recover. We end this now. The human fleet surged forward, damaged, and the alien fleet was dying. Ship after ship succumbed to human weapons as the resonance cascade continued to weaken their shields. What had been an organized armada was now a scattered mess of vessels trying to escape or fight back. But the humans gave them no rest. On a secondary command vessel, Fleet Commander Zinra assumed control of what remained of the Valix forces. Supreme Admiral Vexthor sat in a corner staring at nothing. His flagship was destroyed. His perfect formation was shattered. His pride was broken. Status report, Zinra demanded. 73 ships destroyed, the tactical officer reported. His voice shook. Another 42 damaged. Shield harmonics are still unstable across the fleet. We cannot restore synchronization. 73 ships. In less than 4 hours, the humans had destroyed almost a quarter of the Grand Armada. Zinra had studied military history for decades. She had never heard of such a thing. The Valix conquered species. They didn't lose to them. Commander, the humans are advancing, another officer said. They're targeting our damaged vessels. Zinra made a decision. All ships withdraw to rally point Beta. Maximum speed. Leave the damaged vessels behind. Commander, we can't abandon our people, someone protested. We can and we will. If we don't withdraw now, we'll lose everything. Execute my orders, the Valix fleet began to pull back. Ships broke away from combat and accelerated toward the edge of the system. The humans pursued, destroying stragglers. It was a rout. On the Tempest, Daehyun watched the aliens retreat. His crew was exhausted. The ship was battered. But they were winning. Should we pursue? Ji-won asked. Negative, Daehyun replied. Let them run. We need repairs, and so does the fleet. We've done enough. Captain Admiral Kim is hailing us, Bo-ra reported. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. He looked older than before, but there was pride in his eyes. Captain Daehyun, your plan worked. The enemy fleet is in retreat. Preliminary counts show over 90 alien vessels destroyed or disabled. We lost 18 ships, 18 crews. Daehyun felt the weight of those losses. But 90 alien ships destroyed meant they had achieved something no one thought possible. Humanity had beaten the Valix Empire. It was a team effort, sir, Daehyun said. Don't be modest, Captain. Your tactics turned the battle. That boarding action was brilliant. Insane but brilliant. Earth Defense Command wants a full report, but first get your ship and crew some rest. You've earned it. Thank you, sir. The transmission ended. Daehyun looked at his bridge crew. They were dirty, tired, and several had minor injuries. But they were smiling. We did it, Taeyang said quietly. We're not done yet, Ji-won cautioned. They're retreating, not defeated. They still have over 200 ships. True, Daehyun agreed. But we broke them. We showed them they can bleed. That changes everything. The Tempest limped back toward Earth with the rest of the fleet. Behind them, the battlefield was littered with debris. Destroyed alien ships drifted in the void. Some transmitted distress calls. Human rescue ships were already moving to help survivors. Even in victory, humanity showed mercy. 3 days later, the Tempest sat in dock at the lunar shipyards. Repair crews swarmed over the hull fixing damage. The reactor was being recalibrated. The weapon systems were being upgraded. The ship that everyone called a failure was now being studied by every engineer in the fleet. Daehyun walked through the ship with Hana. The engineer pointed out the repairs, explaining what had failed and what had exceeded expectations. The reactor surged during that first ambush, Hana said. I've analyzed the data. When we pushed it to maximum, the output was stable. The problem was never the reactor running hot. The problem was our cooling systems couldn't handle normal operation because they were designed for conventional reactors. So the engineers who designed this built something revolutionary and then judged it by old standards, Daehyun said. Exactly. Same with the weapons. They take longer to charge because they output 3 times the energy. And the shields don't malfunction. They spike because the reactor feeds them extra power when stressed. This ship was never a failure. It was just different. They reached the mess hall where the crew had gathered. Kunwoo was telling stories about the boarding action to anyone who would listen. His Marines had become celebrities. The idea of humans fighting aliens hand-to-hand had captured everyone's imagination. And then this big alien comes around the corner, Kunwoo said. At least 2 meters tall, probably twice my weight. He looks at me. I look at him. And he just turns and runs. Never seen anything like it. They don't train for close combat, Bo-ra explained. She had been studying captured Valix data. Their species eliminated physical violence thousands of years ago. The concept of hand-to-hand fighting is alien to them. When they saw humans willing to fight with their bare hands, it terrified them. So we scared them just by being human, Taeyang said with a grin. More than that, Bo-ra continued. I've been analyzing their strategic doctrine. The Valix have conquered 47 species. Every single one followed a pattern. The Valix arrive with overwhelming force. The target species tries to negotiate or fights conventionally. The Valix win through superior technology and numbers. It's worked for 3,000 years. But we didn't follow their pattern, Ji-won said. No, we used tactics they'd never encountered. We boarded their ships. We exploited weaknesses in systems they thought were perfect. We took risks they consider irrational. From their perspective, humans don't fight logically. We improvise, Daehyun said. They follow doctrine. We adapt. Admiral Kim entered the mess hall. Everyone stood to attention. At ease, the Admiral said. I have news. The Valix fleet has withdrawn to the edge of the system. They're not advancing, but they're not leaving either. We've received a communication from their new commander, someone called Fleet Commander Zinra. She wants to negotiate. Negotiate what? Daehyun asked. Terms of withdrawal. She's offering a ceasefire. No more attacks if we let them leave, and do we accept? Ji-won asked. The Defense Council is debating. Some want to destroy the entire fleet while we have the advantage. Others think we should let them go and avoid more losses. What do you think, Captain? Daehyun thought carefully. We've proven we can fight them. We've shown them we won't be conquered, but if we destroy their entire fleet, the Valix Empire will send another. A bigger one. An angrier one. If we let them leave, they'll tell their empire what happened here. They'll spread the word that humanity is dangerous. Fear through reputation instead of demonstration, Admiral Kim said. Interesting. It's also the right thing to do, Daehyun added. They're retreating. Their ships are damaged. Many are just trying to survive. We've won. We don't need to massacre them to prove it. Admiral Kim nodded slowly. I'll pass your recommendation to the Council. In the meantime, Captain, you and your crew are being reassigned. Reassigned where? The Tempest is being promoted to Fleet Flagship. You're being given command of the 1st Defense Squadron. Congratulations, Commodore, the crew erupted in cheers. Even Daehyun was stunned. From a dead-end assignment on a failed prototype to commanding a squadron in just weeks. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept. Earth needs leaders who think differently, who take risks, who win impossible battles. You've proven you're that leader. Besides, the Admiral added with a slight smile, your crew would mutiny if we tried to separate them from you. Daehyun looked at his crew. Ji-won stood proud and confident. Taeyang was grinning ear to ear. Hana wiped away a tear. Laura adjusted her glasses to hide her emotions. Kanwoo gave a respectful nod. These people had followed him into impossible situations. They had trusted him. And together they had achieved the impossible. I accept, sir, but only if my crew comes with me. Already arranged. You're all being promoted. Commander Ji-won will be your executive officer. The rest will fill senior positions in the squadron. You've earned it. After the Admiral left, the crew celebrated. They told stories. They laughed. They remembered friends lost in battle and toasted to their memory. They were no longer misfits on a failed ship. They were heroes. Late that night, Daehyun stood alone on the observation deck. Earth hung in the window, blue and beautiful. Somewhere out there in the darkness between stars, the Valix fleet was retreating. They would tell stories about what happened here. About the humans who refused to lose. About the prototype warship that changed everything. The door opened behind him. Ji-won entered and stood beside him in comfortable silence. Do you think they'll come back? She asked. Maybe, but not for a long time. And when they do, we'll be ready. The galaxy is going to know about us now, Ji-won said. Earth won't be a backwater anymore. Other species will come, some as friends, some as enemies. Good, Daehyun replied. Let them come. We'll show them what humanity can do. They stood together, watching Earth slowly rotate. Behind them, the Tempest waited in dock, being repaired and upgraded. The ship that was supposed to be a failure had become a legend, and its crew, a collection of overlooked and underestimated individuals, had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or numbers. It was the ability to adapt, to improvise, and to never give up. The future was uncertain. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but for the first time in human history, Earth stood ready to face whatever came next. The decision came from Earth's Defense Council after 3 days of debate. The Valix fleet would be allowed to leave. Humanitarian aid would be provided to damaged ships. In exchange, Fleet Commander Zinra would carry a message back to the Valix Empire. A simple message. Leave humanity alone. The Tempest was assigned to escort the alien fleet to the edge of the solar system, a gesture of strength and mercy combined. Daehyun stood on the bridge as they approached the alien formation. The Valix ships looked different now. Less threatening. More desperate. Damage scarred their hulls. Their perfect formation was broken. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Valix command ship, Bo-Ra reported. It's Fleet Commander Zinra. She's requesting direct communication with you. Put her through, Daehyun said. The screen showed an alien for the first time. Zinra was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. She wore a uniform that was scorched and damaged. When she spoke, the translation came through clearly. Captain Daehyun of the vessel Tempest. I am Fleet Commander Zinra. I wish to speak before we depart your system. I'm listening, Commander, Daehyun replied. I have fought in 37 campaigns across this galaxy. I have seen the Valix Empire conquer species after species. Always the same pattern. Always the same result. We arrive. They surrender or die. Simple, efficient. She paused. You did not follow the pattern. We couldn't afford to, Daehyun said. You gave us no choice but to fight. Yes, but how you fought. That was the surprise. We studied your technology. It should not have been enough. Yet you destroyed our flagship. You boarded our vessels. You broke our fleet. How? Daehyun considered his answer. Because we don't think like you do. Your tactics are based on doctrine and perfection. Ours are based on adaptation and improvisation. You fight to conquer. We fight to survive. That makes us dangerous. Sinra was silent for a moment. Supreme Admiral Vexthor called you primitives, savages. He was wrong. You are something the Valaks have not encountered in 3,000 years. You are worthy opponents. Will your empire try again? Daehyun asked. I do not know. I will report what happened here. The Grand Armada destroyed by a fraction of our numbers. Our pride shattered by a species we thought weak. The empire will debate. Some will call for revenge. Others will counsel caution. But know this, Captain. You have earned respect. That is more valuable than you may realize. Commander, can I ask you something? Daehyun said. Ask. When we boarded your flagship, when our Marines fought your soldiers, why did your people run? Why not fight back? Zinra looked uncomfortable. The Valaks eliminated physical violence from our culture long ago. We have weapons for war, yes. But the idea of fighting with hands and close weapons, it is barbaric to us. Terrifying. When your warriors came through our hull with their primitive projectile weapons, fighting without fear, it was like facing monsters from ancient stories. We were not prepared for that kind of brutality. What you call brutality, we call survival, Daehyun said quietly. Perhaps that's the difference between us. Perhaps, Zinra agreed. I hope we do not meet in combat again, Captain. But if we do, I will remember this lesson. Never underestimate humanity. The transmission ended. Daehyun watched the alien fleet begin to move. 207 ships remained from the original 300. They formed up slowly and headed for the edge of the system. The Tempest followed at a distance until they reached the jump point. Then the alien ships vanished one by one into faster-than-light travel. They're gone, Bora confirmed. All vessels have jumped. The bridge crew let out a collective breath. The tension that had filled them for weeks finally released. They had won, not just a battle, not just a campaign. They had defended Earth against an empire that had conquered 47 other species. Set course for Earth, Daehyun ordered. Let's go home. The journey back was different from the journey out. Then they had been a failed prototype on a meaningless patrol. Now they returned as heroes. Earth's orbital stations lit up in celebration as they approached. Ships from the defense fleet formed an honor guard. Messages flooded in from all over the planet. But the crew of the Tempest didn't feel like heroes. They felt tired. They felt relieved. They felt grateful to be alive. 6 months passed. The Tempest received a complete refit. Engineers studied every system, learning from what had worked and improving what hadn't. The reactor was optimized. The weapons were enhanced. The shields were understood and refined. What was once called a failure became the template for humanity's new fleet. Daehyun adjusted to his new rank of Commodore. He commanded a squadron of 12 ships now, all based on the Tempest design. His crew had scattered to various positions, each one training others in the lessons they had learned. Jiwon ran the Tactical Training Academy. Her aggressive theories were now standard curriculum. Officers from every ship came to learn her methods. Tae-yang became the chief flight instructor. Young pilots hung on his every word as he taught them the wild maneuvers that had saved the Tempest, time and time again. Hana supervised the construction of new reactors. Every engineer in the fleet wanted to understand how she had kept the Tempest running through impossible conditions. Bo-Ra headed the Xenology department. Her insights into alien psychology became crucial as more species made contact with Earth. The galaxy had heard about the battle. Some were curious. Some were cautious. All were respectful. Kunwu trained Marine boarding teams. His methods were brutal and effective. The sergeant who had been considered too old for combat became the most sought-after instructor in the military. But despite their new duties, the original crew made time to meet. Once a month they gathered in the Tempest's mess hall. The ship remained their home even as they worked elsewhere. They shared meals, told stories, and remembered the weeks when they had stood between Earth and destruction. One such evening, as they sat together, Bo-Ra shared news. I've been analyzing transmissions from across the galaxy. The story of what happened here has spread. The Valaks Empire sent out an official warning about humanity. Other species are talking about us. We're becoming known. Known for what? Taeyang asked. For being dangerous. For fighting in ways others consider irrational. For refusing to follow established patterns. Some species are afraid. Others are intrigued. A few are seeking trade agreements and alliances. So we're famous, Kunwu said with a dry laugh. Never thought I'd see the day. More than famous, Jiwan corrected. We changed how humanity is perceived. Before the battle we were insignificant. Now we're a power that must be taken seriously. All because of a failed prototype, Hana said, patting the wall affectionately. This beautiful, temperamental, impossible ship. Daehyun raised his glass. To the Tempest. She was never a failure. She was just waiting for a crew crazy enough to understand her. They all raised their glasses. To the Tempest. Later that night, Daehyun stood alone on the bridge. The ship was quiet. Most of the crew were on leave. Only a skeleton watch remained. He walked to the captain's chair and sat down, looking at the view screen showing Earth below. So much had changed. The military he knew had transformed. Earth was building ships at an incredible rate. Defensive stations ringed the system. Humanity was preparing for a future among the stars. They would meet other species as equals now, not as potential victims. And it had started here, on this ship. With a crew of misfits who refused to accept failure, the door opened. Admiral Kim entered the bridge. Daehyun started to stand, but the Admiral waved him back down. I wanted to tell you personally, Kim said. We've received a diplomatic message. The Valix Empire is offering a formal treaty, non-aggression pact, trade agreements, recognition of human sovereignty. They're making peace? More than that. They're acknowledging us as an equal power. Fleet Commander Zinra will be their ambassador. She specifically requested to work with you during the negotiations. Daehyun smiled slightly. She learned her lesson well. We all did, the Admiral said. Before this, Earth's military was designed for defense only. We never thought about projecting power. Never considered ourselves players on the galactic stage. You changed that. You proved that humanity doesn't need to be the strongest or most advanced. We just need to be ourselves. Being ourselves is what saved us, Daehyun agreed. We adapt. We improvise. We take risks others consider insane. That's our strength. And now the galaxy knows it. Admiral Kim looked around the bridge. What will you do next, Commodore? Keep training. Keep learning. Keep pushing boundaries. The Valix won't be the last threat we face. When the next one comes, we'll be ready. I have no doubt, the Admiral said. The Tempest has a new mission assignment. We're forming an exploration fleet. Ships designed to seek out new species, establish contact, and show them what humanity represents. We'd like the Tempest to lead it. Daehyun felt excitement surge through him, not war, not defense. Exploration, discovery. Meeting the galaxy not as conquerors or victims, but as explorers. When do we leave? 3 months. That should give you time to reassemble your crew. I assume you'll want them back. Absolutely, Daehyun said without hesitation. We started this together. We'll continue together. After the Admiral left, Daehyun remained on the bridge. He thought about the journey ahead. The species they would meet. The discoveries they would